What's going on today? Somebody in fact call and tell Oprah ain't no rehearse show over here. There is in fact no rehearsing at all in the form of reproductive. That's what I said. Didn't I just say that? Did I just not say what I said? That's for those that get mad. Speaking, that was a little throw-in joke, such as a punchline for those that don't know me, for what I do in the realm of writing of all kinds and various substances pertaining to Oprah Winfrey, the OWN network. The link is in fact provided below, as well as a liking a channel. Like my own channel, that is. Not the Oprah Winfrey. No, not when it OWN network. The projects I've in fact completed and all the rest pertaining to the Oprah Winfrey network. Now, who didn't know that? Did I keep that a secret as well? I think I did, and yet I just told. So, pertaining to my own channel right here on the YouTube platform, we're digital, dear baby, dear love. You see her right there up in the video, up in the photo. And young little Relisha Rudd. But yes, so my own channel right here. Like, subscribe in the Discovery channel. Yes, the Discovery channel. The link is in fact provided below. We sell all things and not just one. Oprah Winfrey is in fact the face. Yes, as in a figure, and I don't mean man-made figure. The face of Discovery Communications Inc. Discovery Inc., which is in fact, yes, my family, right? We don't sell just one individual, such as a darling as Oprah Winfrey. We in fact sell all products, and the Discovery channel just so happen to be one of those things, and I must show that off as well. Matter of fact, check out the logo up in the far left corner. That will tell you what I am in fact a part of. Yes. So getting back to what I was going to say, you need to, matter of fact, check out Investigation Discovery. We sell that as well. That is goods for the goods. The demographic on that planet, when I say demographic, I mean the location, ages, and all the rest pertaining to who wants to watch Investigation Discovery is laden with females, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to give all that away because you can, yes, I don't want to lose any job or anything else pertaining to what I say into this microphone or even on this camera. So I'll let you, the viewer, figure that one out. As in, tune in and be a count and not a blood count. I'm a reckless figure in the realm and form and fashion of my mouth, as in what I say and the information that I put out there pertaining to whether you agree or disagree. Whatever, right? So, yeah, so check out, as this is in fact a crawl, and yet it's not the CNN crawl pertaining to Discovery. Yes, in relation to what all we're selling is up above so that you can see, which is why I have that scrolling to begin with. I'm sorry. To have something scroll is to show, yes, what all there is to offer pertaining to who you work for, why, and the purpose in you being there. To show off marketing, advertising, digital advertising. I love to say advertising because to throw something out there is to in fact be square, all square pieces. Look at Oprah. So yeah, so getting back to what I was going to say, long-winded, and yet no, there's no motorcycles around here even in that. So let me see. Trafficking, sex trafficking. I hope I don't get no YouTube strike with me using the word sex. Maybe I should say sex in place of the actual wording so I don't get striked on here. So sex trafficking and travel pertaining to Shamika. This is completely unrehearsed, which is why I stated what I did from the very beginning of the video, right? To in fact throw something together is to say, as in be proud of what you did, even in that, where I threw information together to try to see where I want to just fumble up on some stuff on Google. In the Google search, that's the point, the research aspect of you just throwing stuff together pertaining to you got the information where you researched it properly, but going into the actual information and not an upload pertaining to sex trafficking and possibly that involving a little 8-year-old Relisha Rudd herself. I just want to fall and fumble onto some information as I go. That's why I didn't prep for this video. So let me see. My lead in question is, does Shamika like to travel? And if so, where? The child's mother. Does the child mother like to travel anywhere? And if so, where is the actual locations in which she like to go as she's doing it? And what does she like to do when she's there? When was the last time Shamika herself have, say, traveled anywhere to begin with? I should have allowed that to be my opening question. But to be loose at the lips is to just let whatever fly out at whatever specified time, right? But yeah, I'm in question of that. Shamika pertaining to, say, sex trafficking, a little Relisha, if that's the sort of thing she wanted to do. That's not to say that that individual is a sorry mother. Did I say that or did I not in one of my other videos? Some people are in fact sad and brokenhearted by that, but the truth just sticks. As in what you do, the choices. Because see, a child to be sex trafficked is to know there's danger in that and even death, and yet the mother is once again responsible for that because she's the handler to begin with, such as giving birth to a child and then just giving your child off to people is to say you might care, you might not for the child. And so therefore I have to talk in the way that I do, as in my demeanor. I'm in fact a misfit child. What's a misfit? Is one of those people that is so outcast, an outcast individual such as myself. I say what I feel any time of the day, as in I strike nerves, as in hurt them, and I should. That's the point in my position, as in that is in fact one of my purposes in life, is to say things that need to be stated, and yet the majority of people won't say what I say pertaining to speaking the truth, which is why we got so much chaos in the world. If you can't speak the truth, then leave it alone. That's why Oprah Winfrey is in fact all over the TV and was all over the globe, because she said certain things that in fact hurt people's feelings, and yet she should. Because to never face something, let me leave that alone. To face not to in fact not face the truth is to be full-blown failure, and you should be. That's insane. That's not soft-spoken, and it never should be. The truth should never come out soft-spoken. I'm into building people and not allowing people to stay failures, even if Shamika herself is a failure. Because see, that's a low blow in itself, as when I just served and I should. Speaking on to Shamika Young, I'm calling her out. Dear Shamika Young, I'm calling you out. You in fact should watch this video, and whoever give me what is that? A unlike me or dislike me or whatever, that's just a failure on their end. Because see, to not face reality and some of these children in fact suffering more so than the mother is to just say what I did, and I'll repeat it again, and I should. There's a lesson to be learned in all this. Keep your children, and if you don't, then don't have any. Who's mad about that? Let them stay mad. Because see, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Let them stay mad. So is Shamika known to hop in a car with her friends or her family, or travel through Greyhound or plane to, say, travel out of state? Didn't they show her boyfriend or somebody having a wad of money in his mouth? That photo that I had flashing. Did I flash that photo? No, I don't think I flashed it. I think I was searching through Google, doing research for you guys to see where the boyfriend or whoever he was had a wad of money in his mouth, liking to show off on social media. So to have that much money is to possibly get some from him, her being Shamika herself, get some from that individual, and possibly travel somewhere. Or maybe not. Maybe she preferred to stay in town. I don't know. But that needs to in fact be questioned of where does Shamika like to go, even if it's out of state. To repeat 3 times, 4 times is to just say, right? Okay, so let me see. I would love to know, when was the last time Shamika took a travel out of state anywhere across the United States, and possibly maybe even the border, such as Mexico or Japan or something, right? That's a good question. Yes, it is. I'm in question of if Shamika could have traveled anywhere, specifically right before Khalil ended up killing himself. What does that sound like to you? That is in fact a very good question. Only I am allowed to ask. So, because see, if Shamika traveled anywhere, pertaining to all this sex trafficking of a young 8-year-old child, that's devastating in itself. For a mother to do that sort of thing, right? But for her to travel somewhere before Khalil say have ended up dead is to say she could have possibly did it, such as giving her child away or something. That's why I'm asking. Any travels never. I have yet to see anywhere on YouTube, or maybe I didn't look enough of anybody asking, where did Shamika go? How did she get there? Did she walk there? Did she take a plane there? Did she take an elevator there? That is not funny. Did she take a car, such as somebody driving and her riding along in the car? Did she drive herself? I don't even know if Shamika owns and possess a car. Did Khalil take her anywhere? That's a vital key in question as well. Could Khalil have taken Shamika somewhere? And if so, where was that at? Such as out of state, out of town, possibly Georgia or anything on the outskirts of the DC area. The sort of thing you would in fact want to ask, because you would, in asking that, you would also want to ask, if say Shamika, if she did travel somewhere, where would she have stayed the night, stayed a few days or wherever, if she went out of state somewhere or so before Khalil ended up dead, even around the time frame of when Khalil killed his wife Andrea. That is all a science. It's called observation in the realm of deduction. Did you or did you not know that? The science, pulling things apart, looking at stuff and your eyes darting at different objects. Your eyes actually looking at one object, but dart and at different darting, going boom, 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 boom. That's how my eyes, in fact, when I look at stuff, it does that. 24 hours a day. It's in fact pulling out certain information, key information, which can be questionable with that, which is why when I talk, sometimes it sounds like I'm twisting information. Yes, like twisting story wise, because that's how my eyes, boom, 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 boom. I can look at anything and study that in the art and realm of deduction. Police practice that as well. Deduction. Sherlock Holmes himself, in fact, practiced deduction and all the rest. There's more to that. There's ways of, yes, keying something down, as in pulling, boom, 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 boom. It's almost like your eyes are taking photographic snapshots of what you are looking at, but not only that, what else more could be there. So where did Shamika travel anywhere with anybody for any reason? Did she stay in anybody's house and traveling at any time? Because if Shamika would have traveled out of state, I don't think she would have been staying the night at a homeless shelter. I don't think so. Do homeless shelters allow that? Such as you say, staying at one in state and you being, say, registered with that homeless shelter, and then you go out of state and stay at another one and register. Do they allow that type of activity? I want you, the viewer, to tell me how that sort of thing work out. You being allowed to stay at multiple homeless shelters, whether it's you're living at one in state and then you go out of state and they allow you to register, or would they say, well, no, you can't stay here because your place of address says this or that, because we're living in a digital area where everything is recorded, yes, computerized, meaning I'm thinking one homeless shelter would in fact have access or something to another homeless shelter's database, as in being able to pull up whether you're in fact, say, living at a homeless shelter in the state you live in and then wanting to come to stay at night because you can't afford a hotel room. I'm thinking that sort of thing would be going on this day and age. Who knows? You never know. So let me see. I said that when I asked could Relisha and Relisha still be in contact today, and say nobody knows about it, I kind of think not. I don't know why I keep sensing and thinking that, but I said I asked this question before. I just don't see why Shamika would want to keep all the mystery a mystery, such as keeping everything secret of why, right? I don't understand that. Because see, what will be the point, as in what will be earned on Shamika's end in order for her to keep Relisha's whereabouts hidden from FBI, chief of police, and all the rest? What would there be to gain from Shamika? I asked that question before because see, that doesn't make sense. What would in fact be there for Shamika to gain if, say, she gave her child off into sex trafficking to some man or woman or something like that? She can't keep gaining anything, because to give somebody off one time is to say they've been sold, right? And that could be, maybe she had did that. Shamika possibly sold Relisha off, right? Which could be the secrets. Anybody could have sold the child off, or maybe she's dead, right? But it's not like Shamika is still making money off of her being sold, as in the profit. This is not a Wall Street affair, is what I'm trying to say. That's not to down or downplay little Relisha. That's not that. That's not to even slander that, her character, Relisha, or anything like that, if she was sold into some form of prostitution, in a sense, spreading her legs for grown men or possibly women, right? That's not to downplay that, but you can't keep making money once a child is sold, right? So Shamika, would she have said that, as in told that, and I asked that in another video as well, would she have told, well, or would she could have she even lied about something? Shamika is just keeping everything secret completely. You don't know nothing to be knowing nothing, right? Even if say the man that the child was with, Khalil, even if Khalil killed the child, and say Shamika not knowing anything, she won't even speak nothing about anything, not even Khalil's identity as a whole, right? I just don't think she sold that little girl or something. I could be wrong. I just don't think that. I be still sensing that the young child is dead, as in a corpse material, and she will possibly be unfound for the rest of her life. Who knows? That's heartbreaking in itself, right? But you keep the case alive pertaining to right here being on social media asking for people that, you know, kind of suspect the little girl is alive, right? So you keep hope alive in that, as in keep pushing forward despite the way that you feel, because emotions should stay out of business, like they say, right? But yeah, so let me think. That doesn't really seem, that don't see, if Relisha was sold into sex trafficking, there is no way for the mother to keep in touch with her. Didn't I say that in my last? No, I said that in my video before the last video. I just made a video pertaining to Khalil Tatum's jail history and me questioning that, trying to analyze, right? It just, there's no way for that mother to keep in touch with that young little child at all. Because the reason why I said that, because the ringleader effect of being a sex trafficker and knowing you're taking somebody's child once they're into the whole realm of prostitution, because that is prostitution, right? Sex trafficking, right? That's a form of prostitution. So there's no way for a mother to get her child back once it's been done. It's kind of like over a wrap, as in there's no secrecy, as in a secret relationship going on between the mother and that child. There can't be, because I said that too. At any time, if Relisha is, say, in sex trafficking for somebody, such as a ring or a ringleader, that individual could send Relisha off to Brazil if they wanted to. Brazil, or even Europe, or even, yes, the Middle East, of all places. They have that choice, and no mother would in fact have any say to that, and more than likely cut all contact off, because that's the point anyway. To sell a product is to take yourself and put yourself as the owner of the product, as well as just searching out buyers and all that other stuff. And you wouldn't want family involved in that, such as a child's mother, because she more than likely would want to have some say so, as in getting in the way from time to time blocking who she wants her child to be laying with in bed, such as grown men or even women, right? That's a no-go. So communication would have been cut off between, yes, completely between that child and her mother. I'm wondering if Shamika today travels around. Travels from state to state, city to city. And I'm thinking, why? I'm thinking, if you are involved with a guy, if that was her boyfriend or brother or whoever the guy was that had the wad of money in his possession, and him showing it off on social media with the money hanging out of his mouth, why would you need to live in a homeless shelter if y'all involved with all this money activity? Why not just go get a house or a little cheap apartment or something? Because even in that would spell safety for your children. But more likely, Shamika has instability issues, as in her mental whereabouts or her mental capabilities is not right standing, which is why she keep making the wrong choices in life. And allow me, this individual, to say that what I'm saying, even Shamika, yes, hello Shamika, you need to in fact hear that as well. You need to start making the right choices. Your children are in fact suffering and ended up dead in all this mess. That's just common sense. Shamika was set up to make it appear. I'm saying because even if Shamika did know where Relisha is and say the child is not in trafficking, as in she's not stuck in trafficking, Relisha herself, I'm saying even if Shamika wanted to set up a situation, because see, if a mother was to have a child and she know that the child is alive and she know where the child is, that's to say that the mother could possibly go to jail for a fake missing persons alert. As in tell the police or something, telling the police that the child is missing or whoever told, and then say the mother still knowing the child's whereabouts, and then the mother still communicating with the child, and then the child say popping up on the scene alive, Relisha's mother, Shamika could in fact go to jail for that if Relisha was to randomly pop up and say the mother had something to do with it, right? People in the past have been known to try to seek fame and all that other stuff by acting like their child is missing, and then they end up on a TV show like a Steve Wilkos or something like that, knowing they had something to do with it from beginning, that it was a fake story from the start. And yet this don't look like one of those situations. But say if Relisha did just hit the scene and she say, I'm here, I'm alive, dear everybody on television, dear all the public and mass media, even police, I'm alive, FBI. If Relisha would have done that sort of thing, just came out of the woodwork out of nowhere, right? Then that is in fact to say Shamika may or may not have had something to do with that sort of thing, right? But I'm thinking if she would have, let me see, how can I word this? If Relisha was to reappear alive and say Shamika had played a part in it, because I said people go to jail for that, even mothers and fathers have, making fake missing persons cases that are unreal, right? I'm thinking Shamika, if she was to bring Relisha back to the public eyes, if she know where she's at, I'm thinking she will possibly have somebody else do that, such as a grown man or somebody, to make it seem like Relisha was gone with somebody and that she had nothing to do with it. So to make it seem like the child was kidnapped off by some random man or possibly sold off or something like that, I'm thinking Shamika will want to, if she has something to do with it, and so that she won't go to jail, possibly make it look like, okay, we're gonna possibly plan out with some grown man. We're gonna plan this out. We're gonna make it look like Relisha was kidnapped or something by such and such, and then we're gonna drop her off here, and then just make it look like she was just out roaming somewhere by herself without Khalil, or somewhere around a hotel or something like that. And then there you have it, is some situation where the mother is attached, but then again she's not attached. Does that make sense? Because see, to not go to jail is to set up a situation to make it seem like somebody else has something to do with it, as in you being involved in it, but you're not really. And does that make sense? Because a mother, I said that how many times, would go to jail if she set up something to make it look like her child is missing when she has something to do with it. People seek fame off of that. They have been known, even grown men, there have in fact been businessmen have did that sort of thing, as in going missing and then having a missing persons report filed and all this other stuff, right? People do all type of stuff crazy like that. But Shamika would in fact want some other person, and I'm thinking a grown man, if Relisha is alive, to get the weight of jail off of her hands in case of, even if Relisha was to randomly be out somewhere and somebody notice her and they walk up on her and say, oh my gosh, you're Relisha, you're the missing child, and then say Relisha come out her mouth and say something that she's still talking to her mom or something like that, that would in fact, yes, put Shamika in jail. Put Shamika in jail all the way, and possibly up underneath the jail as a fraud or something, right? So yeah, let me see. Cause every time I see Shamika, she always, I'm saying, when I play that video back and forth on the Steve Wilkos, you can pull up anything on YouTube, and Shamika just looked like she's kind of, what's the word for it? Shamika kind of looked like she's confused or something. She has a confusion type of look that, oh, that's me. I got a new subscriber. Why did I go to this? I'm going to the wrong place. That is not because I'm clicking the wrong thing. Let me pause for a second. I'm like, what in the world? Didn't I just... Let me tell you. So, yeah, so when I see Shamika on video, she always look like she has this dazed type of look. You can watch a video and watch it over and over. And yes, part of that is in fact drugs, right? Part of it is drugs, and yet and still it be something when it comes to the child. It just something about that is just like, I don't know, she just, drugs is a factor. Now this, she could be trying to sell herself. Shamika could be trying to sell herself to make it seem like she don't know. Who knows, right? She could in fact try to make it look like she don't know what is what. But even facial expressions, that sort of thing can be acted out to a certain point. But I'm an individual. Remember, I've worked in mass media, mass marketing. Being able to see people's facial expressions, their gestures, how they stand, their body tone, how they pull back from another individual they're in conversation with, how they might stand forward in conversation with somebody to make something more impactful, as in what they're going to say, how they say certain things, as in when it comes out of their mouth. I understand that sort of thing, because to have worked in that sort of thing, such as mass media, is to understand when people are in fact trying to mislead you, as in guide and hide information from you, right? But still, altogether, Shamika is just something about that. Like, even if she was to try to hide, like say act on camera, as in to lie about something, I'm still able to see through and read through that sort of thing. There's a daze type of thing to her. When I say daze, I'm not saying days on end, but there's something about that, like a confusion aspect pertaining to how she looks on camera, even how she represents herself, even when she don't know that she's doing it. Shamika, the child's mother. People can see you one way and you see yourself a completely, totally the opposite, right? Let me go down. Because see, Shamika, I said this too. Shamika knew that she was gonna be in fact tore down on camera as she was on the Steve Wilkos show. She knew that that was coming, right? So of course she was going to say prepare for that sort of thing, because to watch TV millions ends on hour, does that make sense? Millions of ends on hour. Some people watch TV from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. Yes, as even they watch a TV in their house, and then when they're at work, they're possibly in and on checking Facebook, yes, at work, as well as on their phone, getting on and off of YouTube and all that other stuff, or watching all type of celebrities on Instagram and all type of drama and all that, right? You got the show Cheaters, I should say that. But so to watch this sort of thing, such as a Shamika herself being a child's mother, is to say she might have wanted to prepare herself to go on, because she knew that she was going to be in fact slandered later on this Steve Wilkos show, right? But there's still something, I don't know, because even in acting, see, to have worked in even that sort of thing, the acting, even Hollywood acting, where even a Shamika Young would possibly never be found, right? Who knows? Anything is possible. The child's mother, is to say you can only act so far. With people that have in fact worked in mass media and still do today, you can only allow certain things to say, let me see, what's the word for it? If Shamika wanted to get on the Steve Wilkos show and be acting out like she never had whatever to do, what? People that in fact work in mass media and have worked in mass media could be able to in fact see through the lying aspect. How she holds her face, how she clenches her actual teeth, which you're being able not really to see, but maybe her mouth being closed and the way that it's closed, we're able to look through and see through certain things based upon observation, of where even the public may not be able to realize certain things. You get on a show and then you act, right? Just like somebody in Hollywood. I'm just using an example. You get on the show and you act on the Steve Wilkos show. You could have had something to do with your child's disappearance, or you might not, right? But somewhere in all this, there's the real you that is going to crack through, as in her face, how she holds her lips. See how she's holding her lips? Some of that can be acted out, but not all the time. Because see, there, like I stated before with Oprah Winfrey, to work behind the scenes, pertaining to say Oprah Winfrey anything, Oprah Winfrey brand, it could be Discovery, yes, Inc., Discovery Communications, also known as Discovery Inc., that sort of thing. Those that have worked for her, yes, like Sherry and all the rest of the team that worked for Oprah back in the Oprah Winfrey show days, right? I spoke about the bodily gestures and how stuff is rehearsed before you go onto a show. Even guests that come onto your show and they want to tell their story, right? But they might want to put on an act before they go on, right? There's things with this that even the public don't know, that sometimes even they host, such as like even the Stephen Wilkos might in fact have you act this way or act that way. Some people don't know that as well. The prepping aspect of before what you do before you go onto a show like this, there always have to be a prepping aspect pertaining to even what a Steve Wilkos is going to want you to say. Because this is all packaging. This is in fact all a package. The scripting aspect. And I don't mean scripting as in that's a lie, or he told you to say this, he told you. No, he allows you to tell your story. But at the same time, with all that, you're going to have your own gestures, as in the remarks that you make when you want to make it, right? Such as Shamika herself. See, a camera can pick up a person's facial expressions in the angle that even the guests, I'm able to, I don't want to make this video long drawn out with that, right? Because the point of the focus was the actual sex trafficking aspect. But I do have to in fact say about what I know, as in the camera angles, as in how it picks you up when even you want to act false or something like that. In this, she would in fact want to show that she cared for the child, even if she has something wrong as in to do with the child going missing, right? And she has, pertaining to not trafficking, sex trafficking Relisha or giving her off to say somebody in that, but she is responsible for giving Relisha off to Khalil from time to time, or all the time, right? So there's guilt that stand in that, but she on this end more than likely prepped for that, because remember, she did write the letter, right? So emotions goes into that as well, as in putting the emotion there so it's believable by the viewer. And I'm not saying all this is an act. It could be, it might not, but there is still some sympathy on her end to begin with, because see, you don't know how people feel when they're not, say, on camera with a local news channel, or even on camera with the Washington Post, which this in fact is. You don't know how this mother stands grieving over the fact of her own actions. There's two ways to look at this. You can say sympathy is in fact there. You can say guilt is there. Or you can say it's all an act, right? But I'm sensing and believing that this mother in fact cared for her child. She just didn't know how to basically take care of her and care for her, seeming she struggled with the drugs that she struggled with. Shamika is how old? She don't, that I'm gonna say that, and I can't what's the word for it? I can't have anybody trying to tell me what not to say, even in the coverage of that, as in Shamika's mother, as in where I say she need not to have any more children. That's in fact, Shamika, if you out there, listen to me when I say that. You need not to have any more children until you get your act together pertaining to what it is you do, such as using drugs and being involved with men, or have been involved with men that kill children, which is one of her exes, which was Relisha Rudd's father, which he was known to do. Irving Rudd, and why he served time is because he killed a baby that was only a few months old. Was it an 8 or 9 month old baby? Something like that. He killed a infant. You need to, Shamika, you need not to have no more kids until you understand and learn how to raise these children, in which you have already had. That's a science in itself, is what I'm saying, what I just called out. That's a science. The call out of what I just did is parental. Yes. Advising. On my end. Shamika probably younger than me, and yet she still needs to be told. That's common sense. That don't make what. Who don't want me to tell Shamika how to raise her kids, despite me not knowing a Shamika Young? Because you don't know in all this, because see, I've always been known to be a very direct individual, as in call people out. I did that with that Janet Jackson situation pertaining to a team of workers and all that other stuff, and who does what and why, right? As in me being vocal with my mouth, and me not being a respecter of anybody, whether it's a Janet Jackson, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, any of them, even a Shamika Young, whoever's done been seen on a TV screen. I don't care about the title. I'm going to tell you what I feel any time of the day. And you should in fact get with the program, because if you don't, you're going to in fact fall off, or possibly end up dead. But I'm thinking maybe or maybe not somewhere in this. And the reason why I'm an individual that tell people what they need to do with their life, as in fix their life, is because you got so many people out here that fear people to not stand up in their face and tell them what they need to fix, right? Some people would not tell a Shamika to her face, and yet I would. I would in fact stand, just like I'm standing on this camera, and tell Shamika, you know what, you need not have no more kids. You in fact need to go to therapy or some type of drug program to get off of drugs, so that you don't end up dying, for one. And then not only that, having your children dying. Because if Relisha is dead, is to say that sort of thing need to be told to her, the child's mother. That's common sense. Who don't understand that aspect? Don't say that about Shamika Young. You don't know her. Well, I could if she wants to meet me, and even that, because there's a few things that she needs to do to in fact improve her life and her world so that people around her don't have to suffer. Because if she died into drugs young as she is, her mother Melissa will in fact be suffering. Yes, Melissa Young, and not only will it be possibly 2 people dead, such as Relisha if she's dead, but it will also be Shamika herself dying young in drugs. That's why you tell people. And I'm thinking even Shamika's family possibly haven't even said anything, because if they were that close, then she and Relisha would in fact have been sharing a home. Yes, and then them allowing her to move in to their home. I stated that. So somewhere somebody is not telling her what she needs to do, as in how she needs to care for her children and not just be giving them off to people, and more than anything, not being on drugs in that way. To be on drugs in that way is to allow even yourself, a grown woman such as a Shamika Young, allow any grown man to take advantage of you when you're high as a kite and you don't know who's doing it. That is just in fact the truth. And I'm sure somewhere in this story it might not even have been mentioned, or some quietness in the secrecy of where even Shamika Young herself possibly may or may not have been raped as a young child. Because see, remember the raping aspect of, say, if Shamika Young had endured that, I say that because her mother was in fact on drugs and still is today. I don't know if she was Shamika's mother was on drugs when Shamika was a young child, but even mothers who are so far gone on crack is known to allow, yes, the mother a lot of times will allow her children to sleep with grown men. That could in fact have been Shamika's issue of why she might even be on drugs to begin with, a rape or something, by her mother being a crackhead, and say somebody sneaking in to even their house establishment or something that is involved, the grown man being involved with Melissa Young, Shamika's mother, doing crack or heroin or something, and then taking advantage of the young girl. You never know what is these people's background. And so for me to speak here, I should go work for CNN, shouldn't I? Well, I can't do that because I'm already under contract, but I'm in fact under contract, right? But and me speaking on that because I'm so forward vocal and I don't care whose feelings I'm hurting. I should in fact hurt some feelings, because to hurt some feelings is in fact bring awareness to the public eyes of what you need to fix and what needs to be dealt with. If this girl right here was, say, raped or molested as a child, and I'm thinking more so rape, because see, a crackhead animal such as a grown man or even a woman, but I'm thinking a man, would have possibly raped Shamika Young, is to say that man could been an opportunist and taking full advantage of her in that situation. And even Oprah Winfrey has endured not the drug aspect but the raping aspect or molestation aspect. So Shamika in fact would need to face that, because it's a lot of demons in that pertaining to it. The frontal facing that. Were you, dear Shamika, were you ever raped as a child by the hands of, say, somebody that was in and out of your house, an adult figure such as a man, in drugs that your mother was involved with? Could that have happened? I allow you, the viewer, to answer me back on that, because for this woman to be that far gone into drugs, such as drug usage, look at her eyes. The signs of the drug use is in her eyes. There's a lot to that, more so in the point in the direction of her using drugs and, say, just not following into her mother's footsteps. But something else could have taken place in between for her to even want to get on drugs to begin with. Shamika's eyes tell all. That shows restlessness. Does she sleep at night? Or does Shamika sleep at night? Or does she just run the streets trying to look for her next high, her next fix? Is that sort of thing. Look at this. This shows no sleep of some kind. Eyes tell all. They have their own story. And not only do they tell all, they in fact tell whether she was on drugs while she was on this show. People feeling sense. Well, maybe Shamika was on drugs when she entered the show. Maybe she was. Or maybe she was up all night the night before, not searching for Relisha, but tossing and turning, knowing that she was going to appear on the show the very next day. And what she was going to say to possibly not make herself appear looking stupid in front of those cameras. Right? She did try to fix herself up with that wig she got on. That's not a joke, or no pun intended on that. Look at her. She's trying to be a boss right here. Granny trying to make it work. She got her wig on too. Trying to make it do what it do, right? You do want to, in fact, have yourself presentable when you go on these type of shows, because people will slice and dice you. Even sometimes the actual ringleader themselves of the show, such as a talk show host, will, in fact, yes, convict you all the way down in front of the TV for everybody to see on camera. But that shows a lack of sleep. And possibly a lack of eat, such as when people are on drugs, they mishandle their own body, pertaining to not only sometimes giving themselves off to grown men, other men, right? But sometimes not eating, because to be high is to just chase the next fix and the next fix and the next fix after that. And not just that, not feed yourself. This could say malnourishment right here. These bags. That's sleeplessness. Because to be on something like a crack cocaine or something is to know you're going to go all the way up, but then you're going to have some withdrawal with that. Withdrawal. I'm country, sorry. A withdrawal when you say going to have to go look for the next fix, and you're being wide awake even in doing it. That is so sad. I'm looking at her eyes, because see, when I said eyes tell all, as in you're appearing on the show and whether you was high, sometimes people's eyes, even in drugs, are bloodshot. A bloodshotness. Right? Her eyes are more yellow, or maybe this camera has more of a yellow. I mean, maybe this right here, because my screen is turned down. Depending on however it was digitalized, the upload, that could affect the coloring too. Some people don't know that when you upload a video and then the color is not all there, some certain things are gone or lacking pertaining to the visual element. Her eyes look more yellowish. Some people do, but I was trying to see if her eyes were more wide open right here, because if they are, that would say almost crack cocaine or something like that. Cocaine, crack cocaine, for when you're even the pupils, when they dilate or something like that, that's the point of the direction of crack cocaine substances, hardcore substances. Even meth itself, I think, has a tendency to widen or dilate the pupils. So that's what I'm saying. She may or may not have used drugs before she appeared on this man's show, or she might have used a tad bit, such a little bit, to get her going. Because see, even people that use drugs, they become addicted to the point that even their body say can't function without the drug, right? As in they always need it. But to appear on a show like this and say, depending on how many years she's been using the actual drug, street drug she has, is to say she more likely have control of herself, as in what she can do, as in doing, to not appear stupid and being able to control her actions up under the influence of the drug. And yet some people don't have themselves all together with that. I'm saying sometimes people mix other drugs with the drugs and get to acting out all type of crazy ways, right? Which is to say she didn't do that type of thing. So I'm in question of if she only possibly used a little bit of the drug before she went on the show, just enough to possibly get her going. Yes, possibly get her going on the show. not get her going in a fight or calling out names or cussing and all that, but just to give her a little bit of drive to get going on the show, enough to be able to talk and function. Because I'm wondering if Shamika has to in fact have a drug to function. Because as I stated before, people that use street drugs, once they start using crack or something like that, a lot of times they can't function without that drug. They're forced to continue to use it. So none of them individuals would go onto a show and not have that drug either in their possession, or say they wouldn't just go on the show without the drug. I'm thinking they would have more likely used it just to appear there. Because if she didn't, and say she's dependent on crack or something like that, she possibly wouldn't have even showed up to the show. She more likely would have been running the streets trying to find that next fix, and forgot completely, as in put the actual Steve Wilkos show out of her mind, as in not appearing, because the drug would have in fact been more important to her than his appearance, or her appearance on his show. That's what I'm asking. But yeah, let me see something right quick. Okay, so I asked that about that when people say, well, because of sex trafficking is one of the biggest questions pertaining to Relisha, right? And so let me see. I asked that, could Khalil's wife Andrea have sold Relisha into sex trafficking? I asked that because to know all these individuals were involved with drugs to begin with is to ask, could either one of them sold the child into sex trafficking, and not just the child's mother? That's just looking at something one way. That's just completely looking at something, at a situation in one way. Oh, well, maybe Shamika sold the child into sex trafficking. Maybe Khalil did it. No, maybe Andrea did it, because she's been known to fall in a struggle as well. And I said that in the video before the last video I uploaded. Andrea had her drug addiction issues, very deep issues, right? Okay, so let me see. Andrea could have gotten mad at Khalil. I stated that Andrea could have in fact gotten mad at Khalil about something, because remember, she divorced him the month that Andrea divorced Khalil the month before, February 2014, the month before Relisha came up missing, March 2014. So it's more to that actual thing, as in the reason why. Was there a disagreement? Was there a fight to make Andrea want to get rid of Relisha? Such as a possible jealousy between a husband and a wife, as in a child spending more time with her husband or whatever else. When people say, well, maybe she knew because Gerald Wills said that the child was trafficked, right? Andrea could have knew based upon Gerald Wills and his testimony, yes, in the Washington Post, that he felt that's why Khalil killed Andrea, right? Maybe or maybe not so. Maybe Andrea disliked the fact that Khalil was spending a lot of his time with Relisha, and maybe that could have in fact ended as a result of Andrea giving that Relisha away, the child, giving her off to somebody, selling her off in sex trafficking or something. Because Andrea was not the greatest woman on this earth, and she has had to have a history in prostitution, and I spoke on that. To use drugs like that in a way that Andrea Tatum did, Khalil's wife, and then divorce ex-wife, that's what she became after divorce, his ex-wife, is to say she played her part in prostitution as well. And even Gerald Wills know that, and yet he ain't telling. He should. I'm wondering, at any time could Khalil himself have ever, say, made Andrea mad for whatever reason, enough for her to get bitter enough to want to get rid of Relisha? Could Andrea Tatum, did I ask that? Could Andrea Tatum have killed Relisha herself? out of jealousy of some form. That's a big old gap, a wide gap I allow you, the viewer, to in fact fill in, because why would a grown man be married to a man and say get that grown, wait a minute, why would a grown man be married to it? That's not right. Why would a grown woman be married to a grown man, and yet the grown man is spending a lot of time as well as spending money on a little child that's 8 years old? Would a wife be jealous of that sort of thing if that little girl is not his child? And not only that, would a grown woman get bitter by that? Because some grown women are in fact get angry and bitter at the fact that their own husband or boyfriend sometimes has a daughter that he invests a lot of times into. And yet we don't know if this is one of those situations. Yes, wives, husband, or whoever have been known to get jealous and in fact kill children or get rid of them or stuff like that just out of jealousy, a hatred of the child, right? Could Andrea have did that sort of thing? I'm not pinning it on Andrea, and yet I am asking the questionable, especially with Relisha not being found as the unfound, untold, right? Because, see, Andrea, I don't think that sort of thing would have played out. But you don't never know, because she was a street woman. And street women are, in fact, known to get volatile sometimes. Volatile means they're not domestic violence, but screaming and all that other stuff. I don't think that sort of thing was heard in their hotel room, but it could have, in fact, happened in a car, as in you're sitting next to somebody, such as a husband and wife in a car, and not in a hotel motel, such as the Red Roof Inn, in which they stayed and lived. They could have argued, as in fumed and fussed with one another over whatever reason, and Relisha could have been one of those things that they fumed and argued with about. The spending of the grown man spending too much time with a child that is not his, and the wife being angry about it. And say, with Andrea knowing to be a street woman and have a street past such as she did, is to say she could have in fact given that young 8-year-old child Relisha off to somebody, as in sold her off. Because people say, well, the little girl was a child. Why would Andrea want to get jealous of that? Because grown women are in fact known to get jealous of children. When my father was taking care of me as he should have, all type of grown women would get jealous of our relationship, not sexual relationship, no, a daddy and daughter relationship, such as him taking me places, him taking me to get my hair braided, him taking me to say go buy new clothes, go buy earrings and jewelry and all that other stuff. Grown women get mad and jealous of that type of stuff, especially if you're not spending money on her all like that, which is why I'm asking that and saying it. Could Khalil have been spending more time with Relisha more so than he did his own wife? People in fact harbor all type of jealousy with that. And not just girlfriends, not even, I mean, even Khalil's female friends would have gotten jealous of that. Him spending money on this little girl and possibly even giving her more attention than them, and him not even being a boyfriend or husband to any of them other females. Women get jealous of all type of things, let me tell you. I've dealt with that myself, pertaining to even friendship. To be afar in friendship with people, and yet they sit and get jealous of you because you put more attention or pour more attention to another individual that doesn't involve them, is to say they're prone to do all type of things. And I've been told by different individuals who were jealous of me, them threatening me and what they were going to do to me. So if I'm not your lover and I'm just your friend, I could just imagine if I was your lover, how deep that situation would have turned out. Which is why I had to get rid of those sort of people. Those type of people you do not want to be having in your company. You don't. You in fact want to get rid of them, because they're prone to destroy anything that stand amongst you and their jealousy. And possibly harm your own kids, stalk you, all type of stuff to do damage to you, in which you don't even know is coming, right? So let me see. We don't know Andrea and how jealous she can be, or how, because see, her manager, I said that before in my last video, and in my very first video, her manager stated that she could be loved and hated by various different individuals. Love and hated means people have hated you for a reason. Dear Andrea, she's dead. Yes, she is. And I'm not laughing at that. I'm just saying. There was a reason why she was hated. She might not have always been the nicest person, even with Khalil himself, which could be why he wanted to kill her more so than her. Say, when people say, well, Khalil killed Andrea because she knew something pertaining to, say, him sex trafficking Relisha. That is not completely a fact because Khalil or nobody never stated that. It's just a questionable. And yet, what if Khalil killed Andrea because she showed signs of jealousy sometimes? You don't know what people are into and why. He could have just been tired of her, period. And then not only that, to set divorce on top of it, it's to say she no longer wanted to be with him, but you never know what she said to his face. As in slapped him in the face with, she could state it to him his old past pertaining to his jail record and his jail history, or even if he was cheating with somebody. Cheating. And her finding out and her even being jealous and bitter about that, you don't know. Women have a tendency to get too mad and start doing stuff, taking advantage of, pointing in areas and going in areas where they shouldn't go, that even if you are a grown individual such as you, the viewer, or I, or even a Khalil Tatum, having a grown man, or if either one of us had a child in our possession and say we're just spending time with the child to possibly help improve her life and not sex trafficking her and trying to buy her gifts that make her feel special, just her being a child, seeming her mother and her grandmother is cracked out, to bring the child out of that situation, and we spend time with the child. That's to say at any time an individual could want to harm us by killing our child or giving her away or something, which is why I question Andrea. How jealous was she prone to be? How jealous was she prone to get? Because even some people's jealousy is not able to be dealt with. The Discovery Channel. That's a all size question. Andrea's jealousy. And the jealousy, I'm sure as you sitting here watching me, you done had all type of girlfriends, and I don't mean lover aspect, or even males if they had lovers and they're watching me, right? But I'm speaking on the females of where women get jealous, and you'd be like, man, she don't even know how to contain her jealousy. She's almost getting almost violent with her jealousy. You never know, death could in fact come with that jealousy. What if Andrea was upset? But yeah, Relisha did appear comfortable, and I remember Cece stated that too. Did Cece state that? I think Cece did state that. Somebody stated that in my comment section about pertaining to Relisha appeared comfortable with Khalil being around him, even walking in that hotel room in which they was seen on surveillance. It's as if she didn't want to run away, so that makes you question the sex trafficking as well. Could a little girl have been so comfortable with a grown man? Could a little girl have been comfortable enough with a grown man enough to say she had built trust with him? Yes, Relisha built trust, or he built trust with her enough for her to want to be around, but say she wasn't running away pertaining to if she was being trafficked. Because see, that's got to be a painful thing, I'm thinking, for a grown man to be sticking his whatever inside of a child, or say the young child giving him oral sex or something like that. I'm thinking, how would a child view herself at 8 years old? Would she see that as a normal over time if a grown man such as Khalil made her do that? Or even if Shamika made her do that? If Shamika was if Khalil was not the child's father, and say Shamika was making Relisha give oral sex to Khalil to gain money and possessions and all the rest, such as gifts and everything like that. I'm trying to see the perspective of the child. Would she have gotten used to it, as in still wanting to be around that grown man? See, that's a good question on my end as well, pertaining to if that sort of thing was being done to Relisha. The sexual nature of Relisha being forced at times to say possibly give oral sex to Khalil, and her being comfortable enough and still wanting to be around him. She wanted to be around him. Where's my phone at? Let me pause. Hold on. Where's that phone at? I can't even find it, and yet it's gonna go off again. I don't know where the phone is at. I have lost my phone. Oh, okay, so let me see. Let me think. Relisha wanted to be around this man, Khalil. As in she felt, I guess, fun being around him, but could a child still feel fun knowing that she's possibly giving him oral sex, or him forcing her to give other grown men oral sex, or possibly Khalil forcing a little girl to lay down and have sex with grown men? That's my all-time question. Because I'm thinking there will be an unsettled feeling amongst the child, as in her not wanting to be there with multiple grown men doing that sort of thing. Remember, the uterus of a child, or the vaginal area of a child, is much more smaller than a grown woman. So that sort of thing could, in fact, as I stated on another video, a vaginal area of a child could in fact be tore up, if not damaged, at 8 years old, being taken advantage by other grown men in the realm of sex trafficking. Would a child get used to that sort of feeling or whatnot? And would she still want to be around Khalil, and her, say, possibly her body not being fully adjusted to a grown man's penis going up inside of her all the time or every other day and making money off of that? Would Relisha want to be a part of that? As in wanting to still hang out with Khalil, and her not under in sex trafficking, but her, say, being forced to allow a grown man to be in bed with her. You never know what was on the mind of the child as that sort of thing was happening, because see, some children misunderstand the boundary of grown men, as in where they need not be, where they should be on the outside and not on the inside of a child's vaginal area, or her giving oral sex to that grown man, right? But see, man, her grandmother and her mother didn't raise her properly to set the boundary, as in making her aware what should happen and what shouldn't happen, right? That's not to say that little Relisha would have liked it, that sort of thing, such as a sexual thing between her and grown men, or even her and Khalil doing sexual things. That's not to say she would have liked it, that sort of thing. But you never know how a Khalil would, say, wooing her, possibly wooing her, how you woo somebody, how a grown man woo a woman with some gifts, as in make her feel special. If her mother never told her, well, never allow a grown man to do this, never allow a grown man to sweet talk you. That's what I was trying to say, sweet talk. If Relisha's mother never told her, never allow a grown man to sweet talk you to get sex from you, then Relisha wouldn't really know that that sort of thing is not normal. Did Shamika ever tell her that grown men sleeping or having sex with young children Relisha's age? Did Shamika ever tell Relisha that that sort of thing is abnormal by society standard? Is abnormal the raping and molestation of a grown man doing that with a child, or even in the form of oral sex? I'm thinking she possibly may have not, because she never had her head on straight. Yes, Shamika herself, enough to even be giving her child to somebody that wasn't the child's father. So Relisha might have in fact even considered liking the actual sexual aspect. Children have been known to like even sex with grown adults, such as men or women, yes, and them being taken advantage of, because they don't know the science and understanding of that being molestation and rape. They were never taught that. But to allow a grown man to make it just feel special, you being a child, is to say you might in fact be okay with it and want to be around them, because you see them as almost the little girl. I'm saying Relisha, possibly, if that sort of thing played out with her or any child, they more than likely would see that grown man as like a boyfriend type of figure or something. I know that sounds sick, or it doesn't sound right, but remember, she possibly wasn't taught that that's not right. So even if she had a crush or something on Khalil, we don't even know that aspect. I have yet to see anybody question that. Could Relisha have had a crush on Khalil? And that could be why, say, he was buying her gifts. I'm going to have to possibly make a video about that. And whoever gets mad can, in fact, stay mad, because that's a questionable as well. What if Khalil was known to be at the shelter inappropriately, inappropriately talking and congregating with people at the shelter, such as young children, right? And say either Relisha chose him or he chose her, right? But in that, what if Relisha had a crush on him despite him being a grown man? Nobody knows. And he possibly just took advantage of that to buy her gifts, but you never even know. What was the role in that? What was the point of that? We don't know. What is this video? That is some random video. I'm not even knowing what is going on with that. I really wish Shamika would have appeared on more shows. I do. I absolutely wish she would have appeared on more shows, because that in itself would have showed, as in her progression even in today, of what she's doing, how she's acting, how she interact with even news stations today. The child's mother. To study all that, the behavioral sciences of say how somebody is interacting on camera when they're being interviewed, is to pull out pieces in that, as in the wrong. Who is wrong? Who ain't wrong? Why would they be wrong? What is their position in wanting to be wrong? What is their position in wanting to show you that they're innocent? Whose baby is she holding? I hope Shamika ain't having no more kids. Did you see that baby? That better be somebody else's baby. Shamika had a baby in her hands. Right there. Whose baby is she holding? That better not be no son or something. Dear Shamika, I hope you seeing this. You better not be having no more babies over there. I possibly come over there and put a stop to that. I'm just saying, so you get your life together. Get your life together first. That'll pay off. That in fact will pay off for you, so you don't have to struggle with poverty no more. Poverty no more, and all the rest. Let me see. Chill time. I wonder what Khalil was doing in his free time, as in what he liked to do. During his relaxation time when he wasn't working, was he involved in some sex trafficking? Did he have his hand in something? Did he know somebody that was a ringleader in that? What was going on? Because everybody in fact we all have the same hours in a day, and yet not everybody use their time wisely, as in you should in fact be doing constructive things in your free time and not damaging things to other people, right? Such as selling children in your free time. So I'm wondering, what was he doing when he would have his free time, such as his time off from work? Khalil, the man himself. Is that his Facebook account? This is my blank daughter too. I'm not bringing her back. All of y'all mind y'all business. I'm not a bad guy. Okay, so what's the point of that message right there? Do you see that on my screen where I paused at? What is the point in that message right there? That says, this is my blank daughter too. I'm not bringing her back. All of y'all mind y'all business. I'm not a bad guy. Now, was that a real Facebook profile of Khalil's, or was that not? I'm wondering whose account was that, because see, people get on type of, when stuff be going on, people be actually getting on social media, making fake accounts and all this other stuff pertaining to when people go missing and all that other type of stuff. People play games with police in which they shouldn't. You shouldn't want to do that sort of thing. Be making accounts and then saying stuff to make that person look all type of ways. Did he or did he not say this? I want you, the viewer, to tell me what Khalil specifically stated. This is a Facebook account. That is in fact see where it says add friend, message, and then it's got his name, Khalil Tatum, along with the photo right there, right, of his face. with that message. And then they got the message where it says police chief right there, where it says police chief Relisha police chief Relisha may never be found, because they sense that the little girl more than likely is dead, right? And yet I'm trying to make sense of this message. That message right there. Why is it there? Why is that message like that? What is he trying to say? This is my blank daughter too. I'm not bringing her back. All of y'all mind y'all business. I'm not a bad guy. This is my what daughter? This is my sister's daughter. Cause Shamika and Khalil have been brother and sister, shared the same father or something in secrecy, and yet that sort of thing was never put out. This my blank daughter too. This my sister's daughter. Maybe Shamika and Khalil were blood related. Or this my girlfriend's daughter. This my girlfriend's daughter, that being Shamika. This my girlfriend's daughter too. I'm not bringing her back. All of y'all mind y'all business. I'm not a bad guy. This my friend's daughter. This my lover's daughter. This is my B.I. teach. Wait, B.I. teach. I'm teaching. BITCH apostrophe S daughter. This my BITCH apostrophe S's daughter too. This is not right. This is unbecoming, is what I'm trying to say. The unraveling. This my blank daughter too. This my blank daughter too. Now, if I was a man and a child went missing or something, and I post something to social media, and I'm trying to sell to you that this is somebody's daughter in which I know, and yet maybe somebody I'm friends with, I'm trying to tell you this my blank daughter too. I'm not bringing her back. All of y'all mind y'all business. I'm not a bad guy. That's why police was trying to feel that the young child is dead, right? This is almost saying what the only other word or term I can think of in him saying this, because he said my, right? He's saying my right here. This my, and then he throws in whoever, yes, etch this out, right? This my blank daughter. The only other word I could fit right here to think of that might be saying is this my other daughter too. Despite Irving Rudd, we don't ever know. People say, well, Irving Rudd is the child's father. We don't know that specifically. Khalil, once again, might be the child's father. Nobody knows, right? So for him to blast this message in his own social media, if that's in fact real, and say he was the one that did it, we don't know who this Facebook account might not even be real. That could be somebody playing some type of game or something, even with police, right? You don't know, right? Because I'm thinking, where's the rest of this? Usually there's some photo, people like to place photo or something like that, right? Colorful objects and stuff like that. They like to dress it up to make it more personalized. Most people on social media like to dress up stuff to make it more personalized. And I'm thinking even Khalil himself would have possibly wanted to do that, personalize this and not let this just be hanging as a loose string pertaining to there's no color or nothing there to make it look like it's more of a personal account of his. It looked like it's belonging to somebody else and somebody just playing games off the fact that whatever with him, the fact that he's missing. That's what I'm saying. People do all type of stuff, game and stupid stuff you shouldn't do. Using people's name and stupid stuff like that on social media when a crime has been committed. People should in fact start going to jail for that type of thing I'm saying. So I'm saying because the life of a child could be lost and you're playing games like that. So this my other daughter too. If this account was real, that's to say he was saying maybe this my other daughter too. I'm not bringing her back. All of y'all mind y'all business. I'm not a bad guy. That's what that could be saying. Despite Irving Rudd, people believing that's the child's father, he might not even be the child's father. Khalil might in fact have been the child's father, and him coming out saying that that's the other daughter. He might have multiple children. That's what I'm speaking on. Khalil himself might have had more children, and Shamika knowing even that, which could be why she's so binded by secrecy herself. I'm binded by contract, yes I am, but I'm speaking about with Shamika, what she was binded by. You don't know how much they were lovers, even in Khalil being married to Andrea Tatum, his wife. Because Shamika and Khalil could have been getting down in the bed random time of the days, and possibly not even at that hotel in which he was living and staying. They could have been going somewhere else doing that, such as in somebody's home or something. They both knew a lot of people, I'm sure, because to be street people is to know other street people have houses and homes. You could have had sex or all the rest, or if he drove a car, they could have been having sex in the car or something. You don't know what people do. Could Khalil have been known to hang out in bars or strip clubs in his free time, such as a gentleman's club, where women get undressed, also known as coming undone? I like to call it coming undone. When you work at a strip club and yet you're a female, you take all your clothes off. This is also where men are known to frequent such environments, yes, such as strip clubs or even bars. And sometimes strippers are known to give oral sex for pay. Could Shamika have ever did that sort of thing too with Khalil and never told? All type of sexual things she might have been doing with Khalil and yet never stated, which could once again be why this is also secret. She don't want you delving into that part, in which I did and I should. So could any of Khalil's female friends or associates have, say, worked at a strip joint full of strippers? Yes, could any of Khalil's female friends, I'm sure Andrea possibly, or maybe not, I'm sure she possibly would have not liked that her husband had female friends if he did, but say if he did have some or keep them in secret, could any of his female friends worked, or even his female associates have worked at a strip club, a bar? Yes, a bar or a strip club, but a strip club more than anything, where women get undressed. Could he have had the female friend, if there was, that worked at a strip club, introduce Relisha to oral sex activities such as learning such behavior in order for Relisha to be able to provide services such as oral sex for pimping purposes? If Khalil would have wanted to pimp Relisha out to other men or something, whether it was sex trafficking or him doing it himself, pimping her out to other men, could Khalil have had a woman that was into stripping or a stripper at a club? Say he's not going to take the child to the strip club. No. He would possibly have brought her to the hotel if his wife knew the stripper or something like that. But even if she didn't, maybe him and the stripper or whoever that worked in strip clubs in relation to that, or even bars or something, he would more likely have taken Relisha by the hand somewhere and say met up with that other female somewhere in a different location, and not where, say, Andrea possibly may or may not have knew about it. Maybe not. Where she wouldn't have knew about it, and say him not wanting Andrea to know about that sort of thing. You don't know what people do in the dark, as in their secrets untold. To be a man, Khalil, 51 years old when he died, and him say have a wife, Andrea, to say he could have had secret relationships on the side, that being a stripper or somebody that was in relation to stripping, and then say that individual teach Relisha the actual way to give oral sex to grown men, and possibly to Khalil himself. But I'm thinking Khalil possibly would have wanted to teach Relisha that sort of thing, seeming he had her all the time. But there are, in fact, when it comes to, say, prostitution, there are, in fact, and say when children are involved, there are, in fact, females that are oftentimes forced to teach the children how to, say, give sexual deeds to grown men for money-making profit purposes. Did that make sense? A lot of times a ringleader of a sex trafficking ordeal, or even if it's prostitution, such as a man, or even if you or I wanted to do that sort of thing, you would in fact have a female teach the young girl how to give oral sex to a grown man, or even get on top of a grown man or something in that realm, so that she can know how to do it, so that money can be made off of that. Females oftentimes teach these young children how to do that for the grown man. And sometimes the grown man would in fact make the young girl females make the children, yes, the new hiree, I like to say, when a child is now prostituting. Oftentimes the grown adult man will sometimes make children sleep with each other, as in have sex, but a lot of times the other child is much more older than, say, that little child or whatnot, because to have them sleeping with each other, having sex, right, it's for them to teach one another, and that's profit even in that, in case of if a grown man wants both of those children in a room together to make money. Yes, for the pimp to make money. That will be the, not only does it teach the child the new behavior, as in her being a new hiree, now being a prostitute, not only does that help teach the child, but that also teaches her how to have sex with other children in case a grown man want that sort of thing. That's why I'm saying that. A child can't just walk up into that and just be told do this, do that by the man she's laying with for profit purposes. Somebody has to teach her how to do that actual behavior, which is, yes, sexual behavior and all the lewd work with all that, right? Such as giving oral sex. That's why a woman would be involved, I'm thinking. So with Andrea, because see, if Andrea was involved with that sort of thing, if Khalil was prostituting a young child, if Andrea was involved in that, right, then that's to say that she could have in fact been the woman. Yes, Andrea could have in fact been the woman to, say, train Relisha on how to give oral sex to grown men, or possibly train Relisha on how to be sexual in nature for profit purposes of prostitution, Relisha being prostituted out by Khalil. Andrea has to fit into all this as well. She can't just be flying off to the grave despite Khalil putting her there. You got to look at her too. Got to look at everybody. Because no child is just going to be, say, prostituted without being taught how to actually do that, even if it's in the realm of sexual trafficking. It's two different things, and yet one of the same kind of, and yet you can prostitute somebody without actually sex trafficking them. Because, yeah, you can actually do both, because it does consist of the same behaviors, right? But if a grown man took the time to do that himself, that would in fact be somewhat of yes, sex trafficking as well as prostitution. But I look at that in my sensing and eyes more of just prostituting somebody. It's one of the same and yet different. Especially if you got other groups of people where the rings come in, such as a ringleader or something like that. Could Khalil have been a ringleader? I think if he was a ringleader of sex trafficking over where he was staying in that Red Roof Inn, more faces, such as more females, would have been in and out of that hotel or motel room. As in, people would have in fact seen them, such as other guests and all the rest, right? But yeah, more so the staff would have seen them, and they would have been in fact in question. And sometimes you don't know, sometimes a hotel motel owner of such a Red Roof Inn seeing too much traffic coming in and out of a room with a young child as well, sometimes that sort of thing get called on, such as the police. A secret phone call, yes, made to say, well, there's a child staying in the room such and such here at my hotel motel Red Roof Inn that I in fact own. But not only that, a grown man is staying in there and has a child, but there's all type of sketchy looking people that's coming in and out of the room. So I don't know what's going on, but just because I fear for the child's safety, I wanted to call in to you police, just so that you can possibly come and see what that's about, because many hotel room owners or motel room owners wouldn't want that sort of activity going down in their place of business, because a hotel motel is a place of business. You don't want sexual trafficking or even drug trafficking and it being loud, such as people being able to see it, such as other guests or who's coming in and out of hotel rooms, and a lot of traffic coming in and out of Khalil Tatum. That sort of thing I don't think was done. It might or might not be shown on surveillance tape, but a hotel owner, motel owner of a Red Roof Inn wouldn't want that sort of thing, because his customers more likely would no longer want to stay there because they don't know what's going on. They might consider a drug raid or something, and they might not want to be tied up into that, just walking down the hall. Yes, people think all type of ways when there's prostitution, sex trafficking, and everything else. They don't want to be a part of that. They might just not stay. They might be walking down the hall, think, stay there for a day, because as I stated before, people do in fact live in and out of hotel motel rooms, right, such as a Red Roof Inn. But say if somebody was living there or something, or even staying a night, they don't want to just be there for say 2 or 3 nights, just staying in town at that place to visit somebody, and then they see a whole bunch of people coming in and out of Khalil hotel room or motel room. That in itself would look suspicious enough for them to no longer want to stay there, because they would think, well, maybe there's drugs going on. Seeming he's black, maybe a gun might come out. That in fact will make them want to go stay somewhere else. And so a hotel or motel owner of a Red Roof Inn, despite it being much more lower class by society standard, that owner would in fact want to prevent that. They don't want anything to block or get in the way of their money, which is why they would call police on the low and tell them to come check out what is going on pertaining to all type of random guests coming visiting Khalil and his child. I didn't say it was his child, but to be staying in a hotel and not know who Khalil is and say I'm living down the hall somewhere, or even staying down the hall for 2-3 days or possibly a week, and then I'm going to check out by the end of the next week or whatever. It's to say you might feel that that's the child, but you will want to know, why is that child there with all these sketchy individuals coming in and out of a room? Some people are able to put 2 and 2 together, that more than likely sex trafficking or something or prostitution involving that child is going down. There's no way you have a whole bunch of men coming into a room such as Khalil's room, and then you got a child staying there too with him. People would start to think certain things. Even the hotel owner, motel owner of Red Roof Inn will start to think something is not right about this. They might come down and shut me down, because see, even when I say that, because even hotel motel owners of Red Roof Inn and places like that, right, despite it being cheap, there in fact have been owners that live on the premises as well. You see what I'm going with this? Pertaining to, say, a hotel owner managing a Red Roof Inn and them living on the premises while they're managing that. Some of them, because they stay up and wake up all hours of the day, right? And so they'll want to move around to be able to see what's going on their premises and property as they're managing it. And the best location to be is to actually live there, so that you can see. I've come across individuals that in fact have managed, yes, not Red Roof Inn, but other places like that, motels and stuff like that. And so they live on the premises enough to scope out what looks sketchy, what doesn't look sketchy. And so they wouldn't want a Red Roof Inn owner or management living on the premises of Red Roof themselves and being there at night, just randomly walking down the hall, going to a vending machine. They wouldn't want to get themselves mixed up in some crime, knowing that police do know, and FBI chief of police know, that some of these owners and management of Red Roof Inn live on the premises of the Red Roof Inn they're managing. That in itself ties into the if something was to pop off drug related, police will question not only the drug related activities, such as a drug bust happening in the Red Roof Inn, but could that management person living there have played a part in that? Because to say one individual lives on the premise such as the doing the drug deed and there being a drug bust at the Red Roof Inn, is to say a manager could be living on the premises as well, and those people either working together in drugs despite the Red Roof owner or management may or may not be in on that sort of deed, but those two individuals could in fact be friends. To live in the Red Roof Inn and be a drug criminal, as well as another individual, those two different individuals, to say they could be working together at night, in the daytime. That could be because, see, people sometimes work at Red Roof Inn, as in manage a Red Roof Inn, sometimes own them because they know that they can do sex trafficking even in that. To own surveillance is to say that you can even cut out, as in edit your own surveillance tape, if you was to own and operate a Red Roof Inn. Cut things out. Because, see, let me see, would I want to go own and operate or even be management at a Red Roof Inn so that I can sell out drugs out of that Red Roof Inn, as well as me living in that Red Roof Inn, despite me owning and managing it and possibly managing other workers such as a cleaning crew and everything, all the rest. Somebody could in fact own and operate a Red Roof Inn as well as run a sex trafficking ring in that. Which is why, did you see what I'm saying? The play on words of where I'm going, where all this twists together and all that. That's to say that's why a Red Roof Inn owner would in fact want to call the police just to, yes, on Khalil, to make sure sex trafficking is not going on. Because that's why they wouldn't want to be, that's why a owner or management of Red Roof Inn would want to call police, because they don't want to make it seem like they're playing a part of that sort of deed of what Khalil is doing. You got people that operate all type of businesses, and Khalil wasn't one of them, but you got all type of people, once again, that will run a Red Roof Inn as management or owner of that and have surveillance tapes running all day and night, right? Some of them sort of people would in fact run those type of establishments just so that they can sell drugs out of them, or say do sex trafficking or prostitution out of them. You can ask New York about that. New York have all type of people that come to this country and do all type of stuff as an immigration and immigrants, and that's not to put them down, but people such as them have to eat as well. You even have regular Americans here, upright standing individuals that sometimes do that. People fall on hard times and do all type of stuff to make money so that they can eat or whatever else. I'm thinking if I was a hotel owner, I think I would not want myself tied into any of that. As in, no crime coming up on my premises. I would in fact want to get the individual, yes, off my premises if that is going on. But it doesn't look like that sort of thing took place, because I'm saying there was no record or anything of the Red Roof Inn management or owners calling into police, filing complaints and making complaints about sketchy people being seen going in and out of Khalil's room while he had Relisha with him. Nowhere has that been stated. And then again, it might be in the police record that it hasn't been filed. I mean, not filed in police records. I'm saying it might have been record at the hotel, or police record as in the hotel management or whoever calling in. We don't even know. And yet I like to question even that, those sort of things. It makes for good conversation when you ask all the right questions. It does. I'm thinking there will be some preparation process if a Khalil wanted to say pimp Relisha out or something. I'm thinking there would be something in that, and a female would have to be involved. A female would in fact have to be involved. Andrea seemed like she would be the best bet because she was married to Khalil to begin with. See how I go in all different directions? I asked from the beginning of the video, could Andrea have been jealous of little Relisha spending so much time with her husband Khalil, right? Could Andrea have been jealous of Relisha spending so much time with her husband, a grown man? That was the first time. But to come back around in the question, even on top of the question, as in setting the question, layering it on top of the question, is to ask, could Andrea more than anything have been playing her role as in preparing Relisha to be sold into trafficking, or just pimped out by Khalil altogether? To give something away is to give it all away. The gifts, you got the gifts, the dresses, that Easter dress. It just, why would it, see, it's so much to this. Why would a grown man, they making a lot of babies over there. Dear Shamika, I know she can see me through this camera, or maybe not, right? Yes. So why would a grown man, despite being deep in poverty and struggling with poverty, why would he be spending money on a child in the way that he did? I'm just wondering about that relationship with Relisha. What type of relationship was this to know you ain't got money to begin with, and yet you're struggling on hard times and buying stuff for a little girl that may or may not be your daughter? And that Facebook post when he was saying, my other daughter, I filled it in when I said my other daughter because there was nothing there. And yet to try to fill in something is to say, well, what is that man saying? Sex trafficking statistics. Because see, Relisha must have really been special to that man or something for him to be not having money to begin with, and then him taking the time to spend money on her. There has to be more to that. But what was the more? Modern slavery? Some sex trafficking file. A file as in a photo. Not as in I'm about to upload and download one. I'm too cheap for that. I'm too cheap to be sitting here. That's a play on words. I'm a cheapskate. Yes, I'm trying to save some memory. If you notice, I haven't been going through my own files myself. I just do it the cheap way, in the realm of coming right here on the Google and dropping you off something right here where it's a photo for you to see. That's the cheapest way you can do. Thank God for Google. Where will we be? So many of us have so many unanswered problems, to our own problems at times. It helps to, in fact, come on Google. That's why it's there to help you out. Let me see. You got some statistic numbers. This is so small and smudgy. Some of this stuff be so small and smudgy. I couldn't even fit it in my own refrigerator if I wanted to. Sex trafficking. 80% of human trafficking involves sexual exploitation of women, and global sex trafficking has an estimated daily revenue of 87 million. That's a lot of money. That is, in fact, a lot of money. The cost of human trafficking. The cost of human trafficking. Every year, human traffickers make profit from the trade. Look at that. Women and girls, 71%. Men and boys, 29%. The women are, if you want to try to traffic something, I think that's a no-go. I will completely do a no call, no show on that one. As in something to not be promoting, as in you're trying to go traffic some women and girls to gain a higher percentage of 71% in relation to men and boys, 29%. That is so sad. And sick, that's what it is. 21 million victims worldwide. 54% sexual exploitation. Look at the chains. Do you see that? Look at how the chains stand out. That's visual in itself. To let you know. 54% sexual exploitation. That's 21 million victims worldwide. How old was this information? I'm gonna have to look into that as well, because see, as the years go past and the time frame passes, right, information such as the numbers in fact go up. They either go up or down, but a lot of times they go up because more people are in fact being born as well as dying. They are. Have I ever showed you the world? Let me see. My favorite clock, world population. This is in fact my favorite clock. Worldometers. It's, yes, relation to, I should show various favorite things that I like to see online. And where is the clock? It's not running or gunning. Usually that clock be spinning pertaining to the actual population in itself. See that? That is all my all-time favorite. Look at that clock right there. Worldometers is where you can find that clock. I love this. I can sit and stand and watch this forever on end. Current population. See it, yes, it went up. Because I always say 7.6 billion when I'm speaking on, and yet it's constantly going up as well as down. Births, yes. How many people are being born today or have been? How many were born this year? How many deaths today? The number is always smaller than, yes. So the population is massively growing. And it should. Just don't stand still in that. As in you die away, which you don't do pertaining to your purpose, even if there are multiple purposes. So the death this year, how many people have died this year? That's right there. Population growth this year. How big has a population become? Population growth today. That shows you all this. Them numbers will keep ticking and ticking. They tick 24 hours a day. That's why I'm showing you this, because many people have yet to see that. Top largest country population. This is vital for you. This ties in with the Discovery Channel, because the Discovery Channel, the point and observation as in to sell you something, yes, but on top of that, know the figures pertaining to who you are in fact mass marketing and selling to in the retail without a bill, right? It's a play on words, but knowing demographics, who's living and why, how long have they been living, are they going to keep on living? World population. This is all demographics for those that don't know. There's a time to live and there's a time to die. Did you ever hear that before? There's a time to live as well there's the time to die. We all must die over time. It's been stated some people is spiritually dead. That's by ways of religious texts when they say, the spiritual death of such and such. That in itself just means you're not living up to your full potential. You're not doing the best and being the best you can be, even pertaining to the outcome and why some people fear to live their best, because they don't know what the outcome is going to be. Population milestone. I'm just giving you a preview of this. Previous milestones: 5 billion, 1987. Previous milestones: 4 billion, 1974. 3 billion. I'm gonna try and come to this on another day, this, so I can go more into it so you can see for yourself. Population density. Population density map of the world, showing not only countries but also many subdivisions such as regions, states, provinces. I'm so country because the way that I, say my words, but for a few haters, let me quit. They would in fact get over it. How I speak or do anything else. World population by religion, that sits there as well. This is, I said before, this is like one of my favorite websites. When I used to just sit and watch the clock just roll. World population by country. Yes. How many people have ever lived on Earth? You see that? That's science in itself. Because that will point to archaeology as well. Archaeology, digging up bones and all that other stuff. It's good to know what is all around you and why. As in being observant and taking note. Even in that. There's numbers right there. That looks almost like... I'll let you, the viewer, tell me what it looks like. Okay, so we're about to go back. The population today in 2018, in fact, sits at 7.6 billion. I always say that. It's good to know how far we're sitting at. It does. And can tell you where we're at in life and where we're going and why. Because, see, to know that we're running out of space when it comes to population is to say what is coming with that. And I don't mean genocide. No. I mean, I'm into skepticism, right? I am into that sort of thing, but I won't say genocide is at play. It's just more people are going to, in fact, have to die. It is what it is, right? That's just, it is what it is. That's how, not genocide, right? I didn't say whether or not that sort of thing was at play, but we all have to live and die, as well as take up space in that. We're constantly taking up space, and we should. There's an evolving process in that. It could be bad sometimes. Yes, it could. When you take up too much space, it poses issues, especially to the ecosystem, as in people not getting rid of their waste properly, getting rid of their garbage properly. You got people that throw stuff out into the ocean. You got animals and all type of stuff out there. Some people don't respect that. They'll say, well, I just ate McDonald's, I'm gonna throw my bag out into the ocean or something like that. No respect, no territorial respect for animals that are living out there, as in they can choke on that sort of thing when you throw plastic and stuff out there. Yes, anywhere. You got an ocean, you got a lake, you got all type of places you got to consider are animals living there. And if they are, don't just be throwing objects out there in which they can choke and die on. Consider that they're living and breathing as well. The human trafficking hotline, if you ever need to call because you got information on someone or you need information on something, don't just call to be calling. Don't be prank calling either, right? Let's see. Human trafficking. Some areas are higher than others when it comes to the sex trafficking situations. You got some cities and states where it goes on more than others. Let me see what this is. That is huge. That photo is very big. They want you to know. Approximately 300,000 children are at risk of being prostituted in the United States. We don't know how completely precise because sometimes people, their numbers and figures be off. I'm saying when they get the quote in certain, because see, the only organization that will really know this sort of information is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They would in fact know the numbers pertaining to how many children. Sometimes saying 300,000 children, sometimes them numbers could be off. Sometimes it could be higher, sometimes it could be lower. And yet sometimes you have people that they make these printouts or whatever and they'll cite a source, right? And then the numbers somewhat be off or slightly off. Sometimes they're even exaggerated for even you to get them to tune in, or if they own something and they trying to have you watch it. Sometimes stuff be exaggerated. And you shouldn't want to do that sort of thing because it in fact misleads the public. And not only that, you don't bring awareness to people when you mislead them. you in fact turn them off when you mislead people, because they don't know what to believe. That's what I'm saying. To mislead somebody with information or misinformation is to know they're not going to want to be there as in a part of your world, as in they would in fact want to turn you off because you're not telling the truth. People want to know the truth despite many in the public wanting to be lied to. There are in fact individuals that will sit and watch you for hours on end because they want to know what is going on in the world and what has happened. And yet if you're constantly posting and whatever, making cards or postcards to reveal information on children that is not real, they're not going to want to watch that sort of thing, as in they will tune out because they don't know what to believe, or if it's make believe, they don't know any of that. I know I myself don't want to watch somebody that is misleading me, as in being misinformed with information. Some of us can't know everything, and yet we can try where we can. But if you're just selling something to somebody pertaining to how many children are, say, missing or something like that, and you're doing some exaggeration, as in boosting the numbers up than more than they is, just to get views, is to say something could more than likely be wrong with you. You're not working at CNN or anywhere else. You don't want to do that sort of thing. My work with Discovery, I wouldn't want to do that sort of thing, because that would in fact make Discovery look bad if that sort of thing was ever to be found out, that I'm boosting numbers pertaining to children being missing just so somebody can tune into me and watch me. That's a no-go on my end. That shows a failure mindset. To lie, oh, these such and such numbers of, there's 18 million children that go missing a year. You won't want to do that just to have people tuning into your YouTube. That's a sucky no-go. Because see, some people can hear exaggerated numbers, such as a number being too high, saying 18 million where some people exaggerate the figures to make it look like more children are going missing than they actually are, knowing that the majority of the children, many of them do in fact get brought back home, right? But to exaggerate something to the severity of even numbers being extremely high, it's to know you're going to in fact make the public not want to help and find. They're not going to know where to start. Even if they're watching your YouTube, I'm saying, and somebody exaggerating big figure numbers to have people tune into their YouTube. Oh, there was in fact 18 million children that went missing this year. You wouldn't want to do that, because see, what that does is not only does that make a viewer of yours want to tune out, it makes them frustrated in hearing that many children could possibly even be going missing and unfound to begin with. It makes them view the world as in it's a hopeless lost cause. The society aspect. Not saying that will make somebody want to go kill themselves, but they will highly get defeated in their own world of not knowing where to look and find for a missing child, because it's too many of them. I was looking at something and I'm like, who sits here and did that pertaining to the exaggeration, and somebody in fact on YouTube called them out for that when they said, no, you need not to be doing that on YouTube, exaggerating the numbers of the missing children. Because I was thinking to myself, and yet nobody said it, I'm like, that will make people feel completely hopeless. It is a time and place to face the truth, but that number was too big. The number in which the person has stated, right? The number was massively big. And I myself at times have stated the number wrong, right? Because people do make mistakes, and yet to just do something like that for views, no, you don't do that. Because people will say, well, they'll more than likely, I can see that from far away, and yet nobody has said that. And yet I'm thinking this from my position. If I'm looking at something and it's a YouTuber and they're saying, well, 18 million children have went missing this year in 2018. If they say that sort of thing, in my mind, I wouldn't not only want to watch, but when it comes to searching for kids, or even trying to see if I can search them out, or, tell other people to get involved, I'm thinking I possibly wouldn't do that, because I will be too discouraged, as in what is the point if it's that many children missing? Why would I want to get involved if 18 million children have went missing this year? That would in fact discourage me and not encourage me, which is why many people possibly will walk away, and possibly have, and seeing numbers that are not real, but people advertising that just to sell themselves. You can do more damage and harm by exaggerating some numbers and not really printing the truth. That's all I'm saying. Because more children could be found if they're not killed, and say they wasn't abducted by somebody randomly. They could possibly be found by even somebody wanting to help. But to exaggerate some numbers beyond the point is to say it might not never happen. So I got my boy Prince. You see him? That's my dude. Prince. I'm trying to stay in the lane of where I'm staying in the lane. Hold on. Sex trafficking. This website is in fact the CDC. CDC.gov. If you ever need that and you're looking for information pertaining to sex trafficking, I think you would come to the CDC and possibly punch into the search right here. You can't see it, and yet I can. Punch into the search. You would come to CDC, CDC.gov, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. You come up to the search and you will type in sex trafficking, and we're going to see what comes up when I type that in. Press enter or hit the lens or whatnot, and then you got all type of information. Well, I spelled it wrong, didn't I? Oh, no, I didn't. I got it right. The CDC. Trying to pull that up and down. CDC. So you will be here, and then it tells you 344 results pertaining to sex trafficking. It's got all type of information, statistic information, and all the rest you would ever need. You might want to, in fact, have an open mind when coming here, as in keeping your mind open just enough to be willing and learn. Yes, you do. And not being closed off as in what you can find pertaining to sex trafficking itself. Because the numbers are real. Even that will be real over at the CDC. It has to. Because they represent themselves. And not only that, the child as well, right? I should make a video on victims. I should make a video on victims of how their life is, or now and today, after they survive sex trafficking. Because just because you're caught in sex trafficking does not mean you're going to live and stay in it for life. Some people, in fact, have been given the privilege to escape that sort of thing, right? And so I'm in wonder of that, pertaining to if Relisha was in that sort of thing, if she's alive, and say would she ever be able to come out of that sort of thing. So many children you question, even the Asia degree case you question. So I think, let me see, there's, in fact, when I say that, because there's a website, and the website is actually called wearethorn.com. That will be wearethorn.com. That's about victims that have say been caught in sex trafficking, right? And they somehow got out of it or escaped it, and so they tell their story pertaining to what happened and the reason why, as in how they got in and how did they get out and how they're living their life, and whether they're on drugs or had to be rehabilitated away from drugs or whatever. There's stories behind even that, is what I'm trying to say. So we are right here on the actual website of discovery.com. Yes, discovery.com. See the logo right there in the far left corner? I'm showing you off. Discovery. We do all type of things of all kinds and stylized and all that in between. So you got street outlaws. Yes, that right there is a description of that. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to go title to title. So Deadliest Catch, we got that. We got Naked and Afraid. Yes, All Stars, Naked and Afraid. Naked and Afraid once again. These are shows right here recommended for you to, in fact, watch or want to watch. unlocked episodes. You can, when you click it right here, Bloodline, when you click it, it will in fact review or preview for you, so you can see what that is about. There's all type of shows for everybody. AI. I'm thinking many students, whether in college or not, some people not in college, AI would be one of those type of shows you might in fact want to see, because that speaks in the realm of artificial intelligence, as in that being a takeover today. That is in fact a takeover. IA, artificial intelligence, in fact poses positive and negative to society. I'm in fact using somewhat of that right now in front of this computer screen, as well as standing behind it. Discovery Go original series. This is good too. By the way, you could in fact download the Discovery Go app. Did I show that off? I think I showed that off on Twitter. All type of shows for you. You gotta have an open mind to as well be a follower and lover of Discovery, such as myself. Discovery Go list. You gotta always keep in mind when watching the Discovery, because it's all type of things which could be learned from. To join the mailing list, see this right here, join the mailing list. You can do that as well if you want to be, what is the word for it? If you want to know what might be, not what's coming, no, you wouldn't really be knowing that, but trailers and all that other stuff like I just showed you up above. More ways to watch. I can't scroll down further. Being informed, staying informed, like a subscription in a sense. How you have magazines and all the rest that you subscribe to, and you want to know. You in fact want to know what is going on, what's the reason that that's going on, if you want to win something, because even Discovery does that as well. They do all type of things. They should. That's the best about selling. Yes, it is. Yes, it is to have completed projects for Discovery and still do today, as well as be a part of Discovery family, the whole umbrella, the Learning Channel, Animal Planet, Oprah Winfrey Own Network, is to, I can request from them a t-shirt right now and they would in fact send it. That's what happened. That's what love does. So yes, discovery.com. The link is right here, as well as provided below. When you go here, you would in fact see the shows: Shark Week, Daily Bite, Faces of Shark Week, Shark Week's most intense encounters. Let me see. Naked and Afraid, Gold Rush, BattleBots, American Chopper. There's all type of things that you might want to see. That's what you tune in for. You don't let Discovery run away anywhere without tuning in. Trying to move my screen over. So I think that's all to be said for today. I would in fact be back tomorrow. I always am. I try to stay around even in that, because even in me showing off Discovery is to say I'm not only selling what I do already, such as in marketing and advertising. When I show Relisha face, that is in fact when I show Relisha face, I'm not selling her in that aspect, no, because that will be almost like you're sex trafficking somebody else again. My point and position is to get the child's story out there so that it can in fact be known and aware to the public. And me doing this is in a stylized form and manner of, say, investigation discovery. That's why I'm sitting here, to put her story out there to on social media, to make those realize that there is more questions that need to be answered up underneath this, in the best form and fashion of me having, say, history, as well as currently with Discovery Communications, Discovery Inc., is to put Relisha out there, her story, portray it in the light of form and fashion of investigation discovery, where nobody else has. That's my position, and not to make money off of that sort of thing. Nowhere is any the only place that say I'm running some type of, what is the word for it, advertisement, is these photos of the photos you see up in the far left. No, the far right. The far left right there is Discovery right here. Discovery right here. But when it comes to actual running ads such as AdSense and all the rest to make money, profit, and gain, that's not me. I have no interest of making gain and profit off of a missing child. I stated that before. But the far right corner, you see my face at the bottom right corner, but up at the far right is as far as it go pertaining to advertisement, as in showing the child. I don't need any of the AdSense and all the rest on my stuff. Not only does it get in the way of what you're trying to see, as in me talking, standing here, it completely will flicker enough to throw your, not the photos, the advertisement, if they were on my, I don't want Nivea and all that other stuff on my channel pertaining to missing children. Even if I do Oprah Winfrey videos, I can do something more fashionalized to show her off, and advertising stuff or having just photos up at the top right here flicker, which is the point. You're advertising the right way and not the wrong way when you're trying to sell something and keep viewers tuned in. Me talking too much as I do will possibly turn you off, and possibly has to, and yet not to say who cares, right? But everybody agrees to disagree. But I think to agree and disagree is to not be having advertising on your missing child's video. And I stated that how many times. I even dedicated a video to many individuals that do that sort of thing with the hair and makeup. Shouldn't be making money off of that. Those children are in fact victims if they fell into sex trafficking. Not only that, they're victims to begin with, to get caught up in a situation such as Relisha has. That's a victim situation. No money to be made off of that. You're not an advertising agency. You're just advertising yourself. And yet I'm speaking to those individuals that do that put on hair and makeup and be making profit off of missing children, right? That's sex trafficking all over again. And yet I can care not about sitting on this screen. If I wanted to show my face with all that, I could have did it years back. It was even with, yes, the OWN network and all that years back, right? Not Oprah Winfrey show. I said I was to appear on that, but if I wanted to show my face, the only reason why I show my face on camera is so you can see and hear what I look like. Some people have robots or bots or whatever they got set up on their account, and you hear a voice or you hear a robotic voice, and yet you don't know what they look like. You don't even know their personality. I wouldn't want to do that in showing a missing children. That in fact turns me off. That don't make me want to tune in and hear a robot speaking about a missing child, or even hear somebody's voice showing photos such as the one flashing up above. You see how it says Discovery Channel? That would turn me off to see that flashing with possibly music in the background, dreaded music, as well as hear a man or a woman talking. I wouldn't want to do that. I in fact want to show my face so that you know that personality is there running this channel. But in the light of that, I don't need to be seen. How some people feel like, well, they just need to be seen. I don't need that sort of thing. I could, in fact, go back and do it in that way. Just showing pictures like Discovery Channel photos or Relisha's photos and not even put my face in there, right? I'm just saying I don't need for anything. Some people feel like, well, I need this. You don't need anything. The best way to actually be seen is to go hide up under somebody else, such as up under Oprah Winfrey. Hide, yes. Go hide up under. Because see, to sell Oprah Winfrey and sit behind her or up under her or whatever people like to say pertaining to the public is to know there are in fact writers there. As in helping to write shows, put them together with the production team, as well as title the shows, as well as with Discovery. The whole umbrella of Discovery. And not just the channel, right? Sometimes it's better to actually do that sort of thing than just putting your face on YouTube. Because you could in fact make more money doing that than just me sitting here. And you can also gain more ratings, yes, than me just sitting here. Me being on this YouTube platform is nothing compared to what I do over at Discovery Headquarters. Discovery Headquarters pertaining to that. And me doing the mass media marketing. This right here is just much more on a smaller scale. I like to have my own everything. How Oprah has her own, even things on the side, smaller things that even the public doesn't see. Oprah has all type of stuff that in which the public has never seen. As in which she don't even speak on, right? To be in non-disclosure, yes, signed up under and even in contract is to not say or even never hear that sort of thing come out of my mouth. And yet even big time celebrities have smaller things on a smaller scale that they do on the side that they own. When they give off, say, the Oprah Winfrey Network is given off to Discovery as in a percentage, as in them owning 70% and say Oprah owning the rest, right? Her name is on that, as well as she is on that discovery platform. But at the same time, you would in fact want to have other things going on the side, your own businesses, and sometimes smaller scale and not always big. But for me to be up under all that is to say I could in fact do much more with discovery than right here on the YouTube platform, which is why I do what I do, right? So I think that's all to be said about that. Oh, and Nielsen, I love Nielsen. That's the rating system, as in knowing the numbers, who's watching, who's not watching. That's in fact a science as well. So I think that's all to be said for now. I'm gonna be back on another day, or possibly tomorrow, a different day. So let me know, you the viewer, what you think about anything pertaining to this video, as in what I asked, and you answering the questions. That's, yes, I'm open to that. Answering the questions of what you think and feel could have possibly happened to young Relisha Rudd, as in leave a comment. So